Okay, the best time of the year is almost here. The legal tampering window begins in just about 5 minutes. And as is annual tradition, I'll be here with you throughout that time. We've got our countdown ready. We have advanced the clock this year. You can see we've got different time zones this year. It is 8:56 a.m. on the West Coast, 9:56 in Mountain Time, 10:56 in Central Time, and 11:56 back at NFL headquarters in New York. 12 o'clock Eastern Time, so New York time, is when the legal tampering window opens. That is, of course, 9 a.m. back at 49ers HQ in Santa Clara. So for the final 4 minutes of so, we're going to talk about what to expect. And then once the floodgates do open at 12 Eastern, 9 Pacific, brace yourself for some news. I understand that X is currently down. It's actually down for me. Good thing that we have Mike, and it's not down for him, knock on wood. So Mike might be feeding me some information, and I understand that this feed might be useful for those of you who are unable to access real-time information on X as we speak. So you'll just get it from Mike via my YouTube, and I think it's going to be all good. Everybody, make sure to like this channel, subscribe to the channel as well, because we're going to have a lot of information for you throughout the course, not just of this video, but also over the course of several videos throughout the day. The 49ers will be battling with other teams for Dre Greenlaw, and I think that they are underdogs in this case. In fact, it is a royal rumble for Dre Greenlaw between San Francisco, Atlanta, Houston, and Denver. Think about the defensive coordinators or defensive play callers for those teams. Robert Saleh with the 49ers, his former DC in New York. Jeff Ulbrich is now the DC for the Falcons. Obviously, DeMeco Ryans, Robert Saleh's successor in San Francisco, is the head coach and the defensive architect of the Texans. And then there is Vance Joseph for the Denver Broncos. That is one hell of a royal rumble for Dre Greenlaw, who's rumored to be worth somewhere between $10 and $15 million on the open market. It might take a discount granted by Dre Greenlaw for him to come back to San Francisco. Jonathan Allen is a player who will be watching. The defensive tackle formerly of Washington is visiting Minnesota today. According to Adam Schefter, he is said to have a good amount of interest. Finally, the rumor is that Charvarius Ward is the New York Giants' top choice at the cornerback position. Remember, the overarching theme that I think everybody should keep in mind as we're heading into this legal tampering window is that the 49ers have a lot of high-priced free agents. If those high-priced free agents do all walk for considerable money, as we expect some of them to walk for considerable money, it will help the 49ers in the compensatory pick formula. All right, we've got less than a minute to go here. The best time of the year, NFL free agency is about to begin. X might be down for a lot of people, but YouTube is up. So we will join each other here for the countdown. 30 seconds to go. Hello to all of you in Alaska. I could see over here that it's early in the morning in Alaska. Also early in the morning in Hawaii, about to be 6 a.m. 10 seconds away from teams being able to legally talk to players who are under contract elsewhere through Wednesday. That is when the new league year begins. All right, we are in the final 10 seconds before the beginning of the new league year. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Happy legal tampering. I said beginning of the new league year. That doesn't happen until Wednesday, but the legal tampering period is officially here. It is noon on the East Coast. It is 9 back in Santa Clara, where the 49ers are running their HQ. This is the most exciting time of the year, in my opinion. I think it's more exciting than the draft because you're going to have stuff coming in rapid fire over the course of the next several minutes. So we'll see what the 49ers do when they act. We'll also track the rest of the NFL. A little bit earlier today, J.C. Horn, the young cornerback for the Carolina Panthers, signed or re-signed with Carolina for $25 million annually. That is the new high water mark at the cornerback position. What a deal the 49ers managed to get on Deommodore Lenoir, who signed for about $19 million annually. mid-season for San Francisco. It was big for the 49ers to hop on that one early and sign Demo before this got to the offseason. Probably good operating procedure for San Francisco to hop on some of these deals early after so many negotiations for them have dragged out into 15-round prize fights over the course of the past several years. And that's obviously sapped some organizational energy. But the Panthers and J.C. Horn, man, that was a horrific defense last season. I mean, we're talking, when I show the charts, the top right, bottom left, you don't want to be on the bottom left. Let me show you this from Carolina's defensive performance last season. This was a true bottom left unit for the Carolina Panthers. And they have just decided that even though this was their performance profile last year, you can see where they are. I mean, that's historically bad. In a league where there's a lot of parity, you don't expect to see a team that's that bad against both the run and the pass. But they decided to re-sign J.C. Horn, even though he had delivered only one full season over the 4 years of his rookie contract. Only one season with over 1,000 snaps, and it was his worst season in coverage. Now, you can argue that he had a horrific defense surrounding him, and that much is true, but he was also part of that horrific defense. So the argument should be, even if he's a really good player, he didn't help dig the Panthers out of this hole. I mean, this is really, really bad performance. So, oftentimes people talk about why bad teams stay bad. Well, maybe it's moves like that from the Carolina Panthers pushing J.C. Horn past Pat Surtain II as the NFL's top paid cornerback. Speaking of that, I mentioned Charvarius Ward a couple minutes ago. New York Giants are looking for a cornerback, so the former 49er might be headed to the East Coast to play for the Giants. Byron Murphy Jr. and DJ Reed are also options for the Giants. DJ Reed, obviously, is somebody that we've linked to the 49ers. And San Francisco drafted DJ back in 2018 out of Kansas State. Previously, he had been with Fresno State, Bakersfield native. The one who got away for the 49ers in 2020 when they waived him with the injury designation and Seattle was able to poach him. Deommodore Lenoir, speaking of him, he actually was the 49ers' ultimate replacement for DJ Reed. They regretted letting DJ Reed go. So Lenoir, 5th-round pick, inside-out versatility. It can all come full circle if the 49ers are able to bring DJ Reed back into the fold. We can also talk right now as we're waiting for some of this news to drop. Congratulations to Christian McCaffrey and Olivia Culpo. They're expecting. So a child will be entering the McCaffrey family. That was just announced on social media with a video. So congratulations to the newly married couple last off seasons when the wedding happened between Christian and Olivia in Rhode Island. Good news all around there. Ben Albright, who covers the Broncos, has said that multiple sources have indicated that the Colts home game in Berlin, set for this fall, we don't know the exact date yet, might be against the Denver Broncos, but that is not confirmed. The reason that I relay that is because the 49ers are scheduled to play a road game against the Indianapolis Colts. And obviously, since one of the Colts' home games is in Berlin, there seems to be a chance that the 49ers will go to Berlin. But if that game is, in fact, against the Broncos, as is rumored, the 49ers would not be heading to Berlin in the 2025 season. There would be a chance to head to London for San Francisco, and presumably still a chance for the 49ers to head to Mexico City, assuming the Houston Texans are the host of the Mexico City game, although that has not yet been 100% confirmed. But the 49ers do play the Texans, and they also play a team who is going to be hosting a game in London, that is the Cleveland Browns. Haason Reddick has agreed to terms on a one-year deal for $14 million, including $12 million guaranteed with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. That is from Adam Schefter. So Haason Reddick the edge rusher who did absolutely nothing last season. First, there was the prolonged holdout following his trade from the Philadelphia Eagles to the New York Jets. He wanted the new contract. They finally convinced him to come aboard with the Jets, but it was too late for New York and too late for Haason Reddick, who was played last season at age 30. He turned 30 really early in the year on September 22nd. So he's going to be 31 this next year. A really good pass rusher just a couple years ago, but he managed only one sack this past season with the New York Jets over 10 games. So he came in about mid-season following the holdout, managed just one sack, nowhere near where he had been the season before with Philadelphia. 11 sacks 2 seasons prior to that. With Philadelphia, he had 16, and obviously he hurt Brock Purdy's elbow in the NFC Championship game. Reddick is headed to the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, a 1-year deal for $14 million, including $12 million guaranteed. Compare that to Khalil Mack, who's obviously more dependable than Haason Reddick. Older player, though. Khalil Mack approaching 35 years old now. He just re-signed right before the start of free agency with the Los Angeles Chargers for $18 million fully guaranteed. That's going to bring Mack's career earnings near $180 million because he's going to get that $18 million fully guaranteed no matter what. Khalil Mack is a future Hall of Famer. We had talked about him as a possibility for the 49ers to look at if he did indeed become a free agent. That is not going to happen because Mack has agreed to stay aboard with the Chargers. Unlike Joey Bosa, who was released by the Chargers, Bosa is available. 49ers have been talking to him. There's also interest coming in from Miami. I remember yesterday at this time, we were talking about the 49ers closing in on Joey Bosa. That might still be the case, but as often does happen in situations like this, once things heat up, and they're heating up as we speak with the legal tampering window open, another team can swoop in, and another team can swoop in with a very tantalizing offer. And it seems that personal connections are going to dominate this Joey Bosa conversation. Obviously, Nick Bosa is his brother. He's playing for the 49ers, but John Bosa, the father of both Joey and Nick Bosa, played for the Miami Dolphins. And Joey and Nick are both from Fort Lauderdale. So that Miami area, I should also add that Florida has no state income tax. California obviously does. Don't know if that's going to factor into Joey's decision, but those are all factors that we should discuss right now as that decision is going to be made, I would assume, over the course of the next couple days. Oh, here we go. We got our first 49ers related news of the day. Jalen Moore to the Kansas City Chiefs on a 2-year deal worth $30 million. Wow. Jalen Moore to the Chiefs. So the 49ers backup tackle, their backup left tackle, is headed to Kansas City. This is from Adam Schefter. $15 million per year. And now Chris Godwin is heading back to Tampa Bay. 3 years, $66 million. On a deal done by Tory Dandy, $44 million fully guaranteed for Chris Godwin. All right, so Godwin is really interesting. 3 years, $66 million. I'm doing the math in my head. That's $22 million per year. That's not a lot, and that obviously shows that he lost some value with the gruesome injury that he suffered on Monday Night Football this past season. But since Godwin doesn't move, there is a chance, I think, still that Brandon Ayuk gets traded. Maybe a team like the New England Patriots, who were interested in Ayuk last offseason but have a new coaching staff this season, would be interested in Brandon Ayuk. We'll see. The 49ers are obviously interested in trading Brandon Ayuk. The fact that Godwin doesn't move probably keeps that as a possibility. But Jalen Moore, this is fascinating. He's going to become the new starting left tackle for Patrick Mahomes in the Kansas City Chiefs. The 49ers obviously had Trent Williams, still have Trent Williams, so Jalen Moore did not start whenever Trent Williams was healthy. He delivered a good 2024 season in relief of Trent Williams before Moore too got hurt. a lot of people wondered, why didn't he play right tackle for the 49ers? Well, the reason that we didn't see Jalen Moore at right tackle is because we had seen him there in previous seasons, and it wasn't any good. He's a much better left tackle than he is a right tackle. And apparently teams are starving for offensive linemen. I know that the Kansas City Chiefs were starving for left tackle play this past season. By the end of the year in the playoffs, they were playing a guard, Joe Thuney, at left tackle. And obviously things didn't go all too well for Kansas City and their offensive line in the Super Bowl, as Philadelphia's front completely overwhelmed them. The last time that Kansas City lost the Super Bowl, their offensive line was also overwhelmed by Tampa Bay's defensive line. And what followed was a big offseason of investment in the O-line for Kansas City. And that was 2021. That was the year the 49ers drafted Jalen Moore in the 5th round out of Western Michigan. Moore was with the 49ers over the course of his entire rookie deal. Now the Chiefs, at the end of his rookie deal, lose badly in the Super Bowl again, and they sign Jalen Moore to be their left tackle moving forward. That's going to be compensatory pick for the 49ers. So I talk about them playing the comp pick game. Jalen Moore, $30 million, which is $15 million per year, means that the 49ers are definitely going to be in line to net a comp pick, probably even the highest possible. The entire formula has to be on the table for us to know what's crossed out and what isn't canceled out, but they're well on their way to picking up at least one 4th-round pick, which is the highest possible compensatory selection because of the departure of Jalen Moore, who, again, is a much better left tackle than he is a right tackle. And the 49ers already have Trent Williams on the team at left tackle. Big news this morning. The Chiefs, of all team, $21.2 million fully guaranteed for Jalen Moore. That is wild. I mean, this is a guy who, let's see what his career earnings were before this. As a 5th-round pick, he wasn't making all that much money for the 49ers over the course of the past 4 years. So this is a huge day for Jalen Moore. We can go to the history here. His base salary in 2021 was only $660,000. Jalen Moore has made $3.8 million so far in his career. And I think X is coming back on now, so I'm going to finally be able to tweet some of this stuff. At least it's coming on TweetDeck for me. This is crazy today. The fact that it's down on the start of the legal tampering window proves to be extremely unhandy for anybody following the NFL. Thankfully, we have Mike here to feed us the news. $3.8 million for Jalen Moore. So far, career earnings, $21 million fully guaranteed for the Kansas City Chiefs to Jalen Moore. So about 6 or 7 times as much money as he has made in 4 years is coming to him fully guaranteed with this new deal with the Kansas City Chiefs. The Giants are signing former Stanford cornerback Paulson Adebo. I wonder if that means that they won't be after Charvarius Ward. And we will see if that Brandon Ayuk trade market does materialize with Chris Godwin staying back with Tampa Bay. I'm testing X. So yeah, X is still like the main site is still down, which is wild. But I think I may be able to get a tweet about Jalen Moore off on TweetDeck. Let's see if it works. Jalen Moore to Kansas City to be Patrick Mahomes, left tackle, for over $21 million fully guaranteed. That he made just $3.8 million total over the past 4 seasons with the 49ers. Wow. All right. We're trying to tweet it with TweetDeck. I don't know if that's going to get off, though. Yeah, I don't think you got all of you guys that follow me on X. You can let me know if that Jalen Moore tweet went through. I don't think it did. I don't think I have the ability to tweet today. So that's all good. I have the ability to talk about it on YouTube. That's what's important, right? We'd rather talk about it in person on video than tweet about it anyway. I'll periodically try to get that tweet through, but doesn't look like it's going to work. Mike says he doesn't see it. No, I think it's out. I think I got through. Yeah, he sees it. So I will be able to get intermittent tweets out, but it's not steady right now. So if you want to hear the analysis, tell your friends that we're on YouTube. You could subscribe to the channel, like the video, do all that good stuff. I'm happy that we're live now. Things are roaring across the NFL with Jalen Moore headed to the Kansas City Chiefs. Jalen filled in at right tackle in 2021, and he got benched when he gave up a big-time hit. Edge rusher against Jacksonville came right around him. Jimmy Garoppolo threw a touchdown pass on the play to Brandon Ayuk against Jacksonville, but we didn't see Jalen Moore at right tackle again after that. The 49ers went on their win streak. Tom Compton was the right tackle that year. And at that point, I think they decided, okay, Jalen is better with his footwork on the left side. So they worked him primarily on the left side, and he had a good year for San Francisco on the left side. But the fact that he was able to command $15 million annually and $21 million fully guaranteed just goes to show you the dearth of capable offensive linemen. 49ers fans complain about their offensive line. Every single team outside of maybe one or two in the entire league, including one of the Super Bowl participants this past year, the Chiefs, was complaining about their offensive line. They're just more capable pass rushers than there are offensive linemen. So whenever free agency comes, guys like Jalen Moore, who have not been full-time starters, who have been sporadic starters, filling guys, making $3.8 million over 4 years, those types of players get paid a whole heck of a lot of money. It is a supply and demand issue right now in the National Football League. Drew Dalman is off the board. This is going to make 49ers fans sad. But Drew Dalman gets 3 years, $42 million, with $28 million guaranteed with the Chicago Bears. Drew Dalman to the Bears. I'm getting this up on the screen. So 49ers fans that hope for this one, I warned you guys that San Francisco, I think, is a little happier with Jake Brendel than the outside world, fans, media. I think Jake Brendel has regressed over his 3 years as the starter for the 49ers. But the read I got was that the 49ers were not going to be big-time players for Drew Dalman if they were interested at all. To me, when I first learned this, I was a little bit surprised because in the past, the 49ers had gone heavy after centers. They had gone heavy after Weston Richburg in 2018. They got heavy after Alex Mack, the former Falcon, in 2021. So I thought Drew Dalman could be somebody that the 49ers pushed the chips into the middle of the table for, but they did not do that. Dalman gets 3 years, $42 million. So doing the math there, I'm looking at the guarantees as well for Drew Dalman, who, by the way, I think he's blossomed into arguably a top 5 center over his 3 years or his 4 years in the NFL, his 3 years starting. $14 million per year for Drew Dalman. But now Ian Rappaport deleted the tweet. Okay, that was according to Ian Rappaport, who deleted the tweet. He's probably going to tweet it again. Adam Schefter says Drew Dalman reached agreement today on a 3-year, $42 million deal that includes $28 million guaranteed with the Chicago Bears. The deal makes Dalman the NFL's second highest paid center. So Schefter and Rappaport have both said the same thing. Unclear why Rappaport decided to delete his tweet, but let me open up the center market to tell you exactly where Drew Dalman fits in. The top is Creed Humphrey, $18 million per year. Dalman is now number 2 at $14 million per year. Frank Ragnow of the Lions is number 3 at $13.5 million per year. Maybe I could quote tweet here. Maybe this will send, maybe it won't. Drew Dalman was a dream ad for many 49ers fans. But SF, how do we word this? The 49ers were never... You guys get to watch me work today, by the way. This is how it works on the first day of free agency. We'll do this at the start of the new league year on Wednesday, too. The funny thing is that who knows if my tweet's even going to go out. I can't imagine a worse time for a sports fan, for Twitter, X, whatever you want to call it, to be having trouble than during the first hour of NFL's league ring tampering window. Drew Dalman was a dream ad for many 49ers fans, but SF obviously wasn't willing to make him the second highest paid center in football. Boom. All right. If that sends, you'll be able to read it. If it doesn't, well, all the better for you guys watching. Mike is doing a great job feeding me right now. Braxton Berrios is headed to the Houston Texans, probably to replace Robert Woods, who's going to be a free agent. 1 year, $2 million for the former Dolphins wide receiver, who also played at the U in Miami. So Berrios had played all of his home games throughout college and the NFL with the Dolphins at Hard Rock Stadium. Now he is headed to Houston. What do they call it there? NRG Stadium. He's going to be playing for DeMeco Ryans and the Houston Texans. Yeah, I don't know if this tweet is sending, guys. We're on YouTube for today, which is all good. I'd rather that X be down as long as it works for Mike and YouTube be up so I can talk to all you guys. Ryan Kelly is still available on that center market, by the way, the former Indianapolis Colt. So the two top centers available on the market this year were Drew Dalman and Ryan Kelly. Ryan Kelly, I think, a bit more decorated than Drew Dalman, but older. Dalman, a player still in the middle of his prime, I think just entering his prime. And the Bears have made a lot of moves for that offensive line. This is their third move already for the offensive line over the course of this offseason. The problem for the Bears is that a lot of the sacks last year were the fault of Caleb Williams. I think what the Chicago Bears are trying to do under Ben Johnson, their new head coach, is rebuild what Detroit did with Ben Johnson, and that is set it up for the QB like they set it up for Jared Goff in an almost foolproof way. Elite offensive line, good running game, and then just try to see if Caleb Williams can work behind that line. I mean, it still takes good processing power to do that, and I'm not sure if Caleb Williams is the type of pocket processor that can succeed in the NFL. Year one was not a good indication in that direction. His career at USC was not a good indication in that direction, but they're going to try as they might in Chicago, and Drew Dalman is heading to the Bears. Elijah Mitchell is headed to Kansas City. Wow, 49er, 3.5 million. That is the max value for Elijah Mitchell heading to the Chiefs. So the Chiefs have now picked up two former 49ers. KC picks up two former 49ers, Elijah Mitchell and Jalen Moore. 3.5 million, that is around the price of the original round tender. I'm not saying that Elijah Mitchell was eligible for the original round tender, but to give you an idea, the 49ers have until Wednesday to tender Jordan Mason, who's going to be a restricted free agent if they don't reach agreement with him. And that tender especially if Elijah Mitchell, with all of his injuries, can sign a deal worth up to $3.5 million. The tender for Jordan Mason, I think, will have to be at the second round level if the 49ers go that route, which would be $5.3 million. But Mitchell's a guy that has gotten way too much flack from 49ers fans over the years. He put his body out on the line for San Francisco in 2021 as a rookie, where he had an awesome year, over 800 rushing yards, and they needed a running back badly. 6th round pick, ran the football really well. They called him Drano because he was always able to find the hole for the 49ers. Over that year in 2021, which ended in the 49ers NFC Championship game appearance, Elijah Mitchell fought through like 6 injuries. And people need to understand how difficult it is in the National Football League to acclimate your body to, essentially, as a running back, you're dealing with multiple car accidents every week. That's what the bruising does to your body. And I think that because Elijah Mitchell fought through so much as a rookie, I think it was hard for him to ever get and stay fully healthy. And a really big moment for San Francisco and for Elijah Mitchell was when he scored that touchdown against the Detroit Lions in the NFC Championship game to put the 49ers up 10. Christian McCaffrey had gotten the 49ers down to the 1 or the 2 yard line, and Elijah punched it in. And I thought that was a very well-deserved moment. I mean, this is a guy that fought and fought and fought through bruise and break and everything that went wrong for him, right? Ligament tears, ligament strains. There were a lot of injuries for Elijah Mitchell, who put his body out on the line, and he fought through it all, was healthy enough to play an NFC Championship game, and scored what proved to be the winning touchdown for the 49ers. Salute to Elijah Mitchell for the time that he put in. I don't think these guys, especially guys like Elijah Mitchell, who are not quite star players, and who do go through a lot of injuries, I don't think they're appreciated enough by people sitting on their couch. He gets the contract worth up to $3.5 million with the Kansas City Chiefs, and good luck to him and good for him moving forward. The Chiefs pick up both Mitchell and Jalen Moore. So the remake of the Chicago offensive line, Braxton Jones, he's been with them at left tackle. Joe Thuney, we were just talking about him. The Chiefs traded him to the Chicago Bears. He's going to be the starting left guard. Drew Dahlman is now the center. Jonah Jackson is the right guard. They traded with the Rams for Jonah Jackson. He was only in LA for a year. And Darnell Wright is the right tackle. So the way that I see this is that Caleb Williams has no excuse moving forward. You've got a new offensive coordinator in Ben Johnson. He's going to try to make it as easy for you as possible. They have invested a ton into the offensive line, veteran additions. Dahlman at center, Jackson at right guard, Joe Thuney at left guard. This is, I mean, it's all set up for Caleb Williams to show that he can play quarterback at this level. And the problem is that the pressure to sack percentage was terrible for Caleb Williams last year, which indicated that a lot of the sacks were his fault. It was like a record amount of sacks that he took, absolutely comparable to the amount of sacks that David Carr took in that first year with the Houston Texans. So, I mean, you can't absolve Caleb Williams of that blame. We'll see if he can take that year 2 step, and the Bears have invested as much as they possibly can up front to try to make that happen. Defensive tackle B.J. Hill is signing a 3-year, $33 million deal to return to his former team, the Cincinnati Bengals. So B.J. Hill, veteran defensive tackle, $11 million per year back to Cincinnati. I don't think we're getting tweets off today, guys. It's not going to happen. X is down. And that's okay, because we can always react to stuff in real time here, and then we can calmly sit down and type the reactions once the dust settles. Over the course of the first 30 minutes, we're 30 minutes into this. A lot has already happened. 2 49ers have gone to the Kansas City Chiefs, Drew Dahlman to the Bears, and we're still waiting on Dre Greenlaw news. Also, over 1,400 of you on here. I very much appreciate it. I got a funny text from my buddy Keith. Jalen Moore is going to be a Pro Bowler once he realizes You can hold people with no repercussions on the Chiefs' offensive line. That's funny. And I think a lot of 49ers fans are going to resonate with that text that I just got from my buddy Keith. It is true. The Chiefs hold a lot. Nick Bosa will definitely tell you that. Now, they got called for it in the Super Bowl, and they got destroyed in the Super Bowl. The two Super Bowls where holding has actually been called on the Kansas City Chiefs, they've gotten killed against Tampa Bay and then against the Philadelphia Eagles this past year. But we'll see what Jalen Moore does from a technique perspective, protecting Patrick Mahomes. Javon Kinlaw is headed to Washington. Adam Peters signs Javon Kinlaw, former 49ers defensive tackle. So he is reunited with his former executive, now the GM of the Commanders. So the replacement for Jonathan Allen in Washington is Javon Kinlaw, who played for the Jets under Robert Saleh and Jeff Ulbrich this past season. He is going to be headed to Washington, according to Adam Schefter. Now, that is fascinating to me because I think that Javon, he's been much healthier now than he was in the past. His last season with the 49ers earned him a 6-year deal with the New York Jets because he was finally able to stay on the field. He finally got that knee figured out, and he turned into a decent pass rusher for the 49ers in that final season. He then played 17 games for the New York Jets, so it's 2 straight seasons in which Javon Kinlaw has not missed a single game. So credit where credit is due for Javon Kinlaw, who's still only 27 years old. First year in the NFL, 14 games. Second year, 4 games. Third year, 6 games. So he played 10 games over the course of year 2 and year 3 in the NFL. People thought that he wouldn't be able to physically last in the NFL with that knee. Javon Kinlaw has now played 34 of 34 regular season games over the course of the past 2 seasons. And that has earned him a deal with the Washington Commanders. It is a 3-year, $45 million deal, $15 million per year for Javon Kinlaw. So remember that the Commanders didn't want Jonathan Allen at $16.5 million. The Atlanta Falcons released Grady Jarrett today, who was set to make $16.2 million. So these old defensive tackles on their way out, Allen 30, Grady Jarrett, 32. They may still have some good football in them, but they're not in their primes anymore. Meanwhile, Javon Kinlaw, age 27, heading into age 28, $15 million per year headed to Washington. They have been big spenders so far in free agency. Crazy stuff. It is moving fast on this morning. Kinlaw to Washington, Mitchell and Moore are headed to Kansas City of all teams. We got Keith making jokes that may not actually be jokes because the Chiefs do hold a lot. We also have Drew Dahlman off the board. $30 million total guarantees for Javon Kinlaw. Congratulations to him. Javon's a good dude. Javon's a really good dude. It really had a good time getting to know him over the course of his time with the 49ers in the locker room. Works hard for his family. Has been through a lot of adversity. Eric Armstead really helped shepherd him through some of those tough times. You know, for a guy that big, you could see how the knee would be something tricky to overcome, but he has worked hard, done stuff like Pilates, which is always funny when you got a dude who's, he's like 6'7", 6'8", obviously over 300 pounds, although he lightened up a bit to take some pressure off those knees. Doing Pilates down in, I think it was in Los Gatos. He was working out the Pilates, and that really helped him stay healthy for San Francisco over the course of that final year, which has now earned him a lot of money over the last 2 years. He stays on the East Coast. Good for Javon Kinlaw. $30 million guaranteed. I'm going to help into some questions here because I think it's a perfect time for some questions. I think that we can talk while we wait for the next round of news. I am actually refreshed that Twitter is not working because I could focus a little bit more on this, and Mike is sending me what's important to relay to you guys. No moves yet for the 49ers, only departures so far for the 49ers. And remember that the comp pick game is something that the 49ers can potentially benefit from. And that's what I'm going to talk about next. We have our first comp pick estimate. And that is absolutely a key to talk about when discussing the 49ers strategy. The Chiefs signing Jalen Moore to $15 million per year will give the 49ers a 2026 compensatory pick that will be estimated as a fifth rounder for now due to low previous snap counts, but could become a fourth if he becomes a full-time starter for Kansas City. That is from Nick Corte, who's a master of analyzing the compensatory pick formula. Nick is able to look at all the factors. It is a complicated thing. You look at who the 49ers sign and who they let go in free agency. Then you look at salaries, and then you look at snap counts. Jalen Moore hadn't played a whole lot of snaps for the 49ers because he's been a backup, but he is projected to be Kansas City's starting left tackle. Because of that, Jalen Moore is probably going to get more snaps than he has on the book so far. So it's estimated to be a fifth rounder if he gets the same amount of snaps with Kansas City as he did with the 49ers. But of course, as the starting left tackle for Kansas City, he would get many more. So the 49ers would be in line to pick up the maximum possible fourth round compensatory pick for Jalen Moore. And that is just one big signing heading elsewhere. I think Elijah Mitchell will factor all too much into the compensatory formula, a deal worth up to $3.5 million with the Kansas City Chiefs, but we're still waiting on Aaron Banks to sign elsewhere, which he almost certainly will. He's not going to be coming back to the 49ers. We'll see what happens with Dre Greenlaw. That's iffy. The 49ers in a Royal Rumble. Robert Saleh, Jeff Ulbrich, D'Amico Ryans, and Vance Joseph. That's going to be determined where Dre Greenlaw plays next season. But when we could go to Talanoa Hufanga, Charvarius Ward, rumored to be headed to the East Coast. We'll see what happens there. But the 49ers almost certainly won't hold on to Charvarius Ward. The 49ers have a chance to go big in the comp pick formula this year, which goes hand in hand with this team's focused on cost efficiency. And they played the comp pick game really well over the years, probably more effectively than any other team in the NFL. And this year has a chance to net a massive compensatory pick return for the 49ers as they strive to become younger, faster, and more cost efficient. Wow, here we go. The Steelers are getting close to a deal with four-time NFL MVP Aaron Rodgers, per multiple sources. They decided to enter discussions with Rodgers and Sam Darnold when it became apparent Justin Fields wanted to test his market value in free agency. So Aaron Rodgers, at this advanced age, looks like he may be headed to the Pittsburgh Steelers, who yesterday traded with the Seattle Seahawks for DK Metcalf. Rodgers is going to turn 42 on December 2nd. So oldest player in the NFL might be headed to Pittsburgh. Big time shakeup could be on its way there. You know, this is ridiculous. Somebody the other day comments on one of these videos and they said, oh, well, if Brock Purdy decides to hold out, the 49ers can just go get Aaron Rodgers. And I said, you really think that Aaron Rodgers is still going to be available in a couple months? You don't think that this quarterback carousel will land with Aaron Rodgers on a team under contract? And yeah, I mean, some comments have just been idiotic in this entire situation. Anyway, Aaron Rodgers likely headed to Pittsburgh. That's going to cause tremors. That's going to send shockwaves. We have our list of teams right now who are looking for quarterbacks in this 2025 season. The Vikings looking for quarterback. The Steelers obviously looking for a quarterback. The Saints, no, they're no longer looking. I could erase the Saints. They decided to keep Derek Carr aboard. The Seattle Seahawks, it's been rumored that Sam Darnold is going to be headed there, but that's not finalized yet. The New York Giants, they've been linked to Aaron Rodgers, but nothing finalized there. The New York Jets, Rodgers' former team. The Tennessee Titans. The Cleveland Browns, who have decided to make a push to go all in, even though they don't know who their quarterback is going to be. It's a bold strategy. We'll see how it works out for Cleveland. It never has worked out well for Cleveland. And obviously the Raiders were on the list, but they picked up Geno Smith. It will be fascinating to see the contract for Geno Smith, 40 to 45 million per year is what we expect from the Raiders. Sam Darnold will be even more interesting. That should set some kind of gravitational floor for the Brock Purdy contract. It's going to be fascinating in its own right, in its own unrelated right, to see what Aaron Rodgers signs for, if it is indeed with the Pittsburgh Steelers. So we're going to be keeping a close eye on that. The Steelers finally got their receiver yesterday. Remember, Pittsburgh was just desperate to get a receiver last offseason. Steelers fans wouldn't shut up about the Brandon Ayuk trade. A lot of their reporters were just making up stuff. I mean, 49ers reporters were making stuff up too regarding Brandon Ayuk, saying that he was traded. They didn't have any credibility to begin with, and then they lost all credibility. They went into negative credibility points with the entire Brandon Ayuk trade saga. But finally, Pittsburgh is able to get their hands on a receiver that they wanted, a top receiver, and that is DK Metcalf. Some might say it's an overpay, $33 million per year, but maybe they pair him with Aaron Rodgers moving forward. Robert Spillane, the linebacker, the former Raider, is signing with the New England Patriots. That leaves Greenlaw, Dre Greenlaw, left as the top linebacker on the market. So the teams interested in Dre Greenlaw are the 49ers, obviously, the Atlanta Falcons, the Houston Texans, and the Denver Broncos. If there's a mystery team in there, it will surprise us all, but you can never put anything past the start of this legal tampering window. Greenlaw is the top linebacker left on the open market. Wow. Remember, all these guys have signed with their former teams, starting with Zach Bond, had the great year, was the top graded linebacker in the NFL, re-signs with Philadelphia, $17 million per year. Fred Warner is at $19 million per year. Somebody like Bobby Wagner, 43% raise, age 35, back to Washington. Commanders are spending a ton of money. Kudos to Bobby Wagner for negotiating his own deal and negotiating that big of a raise. Jamie Sherwood back to the New York Jets on a deal worth $15 million annually. I mean, these linebackers have been getting paid this offseason. I think that there's a growing appreciation around the league for the importance of this position. And it is in response to these offenses just becoming so adaptable. I mean, tight ends, and this starts with the Shanahan system, right? Tight ends playing wide out, wide backs. Deebo Samuel's now in Washington, but wide backs, guys moving from the receiver position to the backfield. You never know exactly what an offense is going to run because the personnel packages have become so amorphous, and that's made the middle of the defense so important. If you don't have versatile pieces at the linebacker position, you're not going to be able to combat the adaptable offenses. So linebackers have been going for a lot of money. That's why the 49ers would really like to have Dre Greenlaw back. We'll see if they can win either a bidding war or a nostalgia war with the Falcons, Texans, and Broncos, and maybe a mystery team for Dre Greenlaw. I think the way that it stands right now is the 49ers have a more conservative offer on the table for Dre Greenlaw, recognizing the fact that he played only 35 snaps last season, and even before then had some availability issues with the 49ers, whereas some bigger offers may be coming in from other teams. The 49ers, they'll have the nostalgia connection because they drafted Dre Greenlaw in 2019. They gave him the first chance, and Robert Saleh has been on the phone with Dre a lot over the course of the past couple months since Robert Saleh was rehired by San Francisco. He wants Dre back. We will see if that does come to fruition. If not, I will be very interested to see what the 49ers do at that linebacker 2 position. D. Winters obviously waiting in the wings. Is he ready for that big of a burden? We shall see. I think obviously the 49ers need to add somebody, whether it be through the draft or through lower level free agency. But the top target for them at the linebacker position right now is Dre Greenlaw, who's left as the top linebacker on the market. More news. Jordan Lewis is signing with Jacksonville. He becomes the NFL's highest paid nickel cornerback. I almost forgot that the nickel cornerback position still existed. I took it off of my roster builder. Those of you who are here, this is going to be fun for you. There's a lot of you here, by the way. I act like those of you who are here, it makes it sound like there's only a few people in the room. We've got like 1,600, 1,700 people in the room, which is really cool here on Legal Tampering Window Day. But the 49ers roster builder is available for you up on the San Francisco Standard. I know that the deadline for Build Your G or Internet GM of the Year has already come and passed, but that doesn't mean that you still can't use this to follow along some of these moves in free agency. You can actually build your own roster by hitting create a copy. You make a copy right here, and you will see that I had eliminated the nickelback position because guys play at all different positions now. Like Deommodore Lenoir plays both nickel and outside. And I think that kind of adaptability is really necessary to make sure that a defense and a secondary is able to match up with these offenses. Again, some of the top receivers in the league are lining up inside more than they are lining up outside. We could see if I had some of my contract projections right. What did Drew Dalman go for? $14 million per year. So let's select Drew Dalman. I had it at $16 million per year. All right, I wasn't too far off. Just making sure that there's some level of realism to the roster builder so you guys can make sure that you check this out. Here's one that should interest 49ers fans. Jimmy Garoppolo is back as the Rams backup. So there's a chance that Jimmy is going to be throwing to Davante Adams again. We'll put Jimmy Garoppolo and Davante Adams reunited. This is from Ian Rappaport. We didn't expect Jimmy to sign for more than a year. That's the backup rate typically. Jimmy back for the second year with LA. They really like him in the building there. Sean McVay talked about that a lot this past year. But there are one injury away to Matthew Stafford. One Matthew Stafford injury away, and he's a 37-year-old quarterback, from having Jimmy Garoppolo and Davante Adams back on the field at the same time in LA under Sean McVay. So the former 49ers starter, who I not appreciated enough, obviously, for what he did with San Francisco by a loud minority of the fan base. He has another year in LA and another year in the NFC West. Part of the news here, 47 minutes into the legal tampering window on this beautiful Monday morning. Crowd is growing. We got a lot of people watching. I want to see if we can get this to 2,000. Send this to all your friends. This is where you're getting your news. I know that X might be down for you. If it's down for me, it might be down for other people. So hopefully we're keeping you apprised throughout this glorious morning to open the legal tampering window. Tim Kawakami is talking about the Jonathan Allen, Javon Kinlaw maneuver for Washington. Cutting Jonathan Allen to save $15.5 million and then paying Javon Kinlaw a guaranteed $30 million is interesting. Adam Peters is a very smart exec, but that's interesting. Again, I think that when you look at Javon Kinlaw, there's a stereotype that this guy hadn't been able to stay healthy, but that's an outdated stereotype. He played 17 games in each of the past 2 seasons. So he stayed healthy for 2 seasons. At some point, he's done enough to shake off the stigma of unavailability. And I think he's reached that point. So he's still only 27 years old. And he obviously has immense potential. He has the physical measurements of a dominant defensive tackle. He has worked on his pass rushing moves. He's a good dude, and he's earned everything that he's gotten. I mean, Javon Kinlaw has been through hell and back, and I think that when I look at these players and I look at their trajectories, I salute efforts like that because I know how hard it is to succeed in sports. I mean, whatever sport you're playing, it's tough, but the NFL is the top of the top in the world of football. And obviously the most competitive American sport. I mean, they call baseball the national pastime, but gee, this is a football country, right? So to make it on the gridiron, it is gladiatorial, it is vicious, and especially if you have to bounce back from injury adversity, it is nearly impossible. And Javon Kinlaw has done that, and I think he's earned every bit of money that is coming his way. Jeremy Fowler reports the Broncos are closing in on Talanoa Hufanga. So that's going to be another addition to the comp pick formula in the plus category for the 49ers. We could scroll over here and we could see Talanoa Hufanga in the safety drop-down menu. I think that the cap hit's going to be $5 million for him. He might go for more than that, given the way that the market has been moving. We'll see. I estimated $5 million. Maybe that's a backloaded $5 million cap hit. But if he does go to Denver, that's where DJ Jones headed, and DJ Jones re-signed last night, so the 49ers can't bring back DJ Jones. If that is the case with Talanoa Hufanga, happy trails to him. He was a good 49er, all-pro in 2022. I don't think we'll ever forget the pick six he had of Matthew Stafford that year. It's a monster season. Started with that game in the rain against Chicago, where he was one of the bright spots for the 49ers in a brutal loss to open the season. But he's just a missile. And film study, working with Troy Polamalu, instincts. That's what made Talanoa Hufanga the player that he is. I mean, he was special over his prime with the 49ers. Unfortunately, the injury derailed a lot of things in 2023. Torn ACL and then a torn wrist ligament. But Hufanga, his family, all really good people. And the 49ers will definitely wish him the best. He was a very positive influence in that 49ers locker room. Talanoa, I remember he was a fifth-round pick. He was one of the great fifth-round picks for the 49ers. He showed up, and his first press conference talked about how he wanted to carve out a spot his rookie season on special teams. It was one of the more mature press conferences I'd ever heard from a rookie. He said that he wanted to deliver on special teams for the 49ers because he knew that on a loaded roster, it would be hard to carve out a spot for himself. And that's exactly what he did, because that season, as you remember, the 49ers went into Green Bay, Lambeau Field, -5 degrees, underdogs in the divisional round. The snow started falling. It was the snow globe game. 49ers offense wasn't able to get much going. The defense, though, was playing heroically. That was actually the final game for Davante Adams in a Packers uniform, and Dante Johnson locked him down. But the way that the 49ers were able to equalize that game was the punt block from Jordan Willis and the scoop and score for Talanoa Hufanga, who, did something that people, I think, still don't give him enough credit for. Fielding a football in great conditions like that, like spotting the football with a helmet on after it's been blocked and it's high up in the air, spotting it and then picking it up when guys are bearing down on you, oblong shape of the football, picking it up, not fumbling it, and then running into the end zone. That's difficult if it were 72 degrees and sunny outside like it was for Hufanga's games at USC. But it's much harder when it's -3 degrees. It's snowing. The field is frosted over. You're on the road. And Hufanga scooped that football up and ran into the end zone. It's one of the great plays in 49ers history. So he delivered the impact he promised he would make on special teams as a rookie. We'll always remember that. Those of us who were there at Lambeau Field, for me, that's a core memory of my career covering football. And then he turned into a star safety and All-Pro the very next season. So far, everything is moving as expected. We expected San Francisco to lose Hufanga, Elijah Mitchell, Jalen Moore. We do expect them to lose Aaron Banks. I mean, they can go basically 5 for 5 or 6 for 6 on losing free agents or pending free agents, just because the cost efficiency, this is probably the right direction for the 49ers to go on all of these players. They're going to try to restock through the draft. They don't want to overpay in free agency. A lot of these contracts have been extremely expensive so far. For Kansas City, they paid Jalen Moore $30 million, $15 million per year, $21 million fully guaranteed. I mean, these are big price tags, and that's obviously what the 49ers are trying to avoid here as they move to their more grounded, cost-efficient approach moving forward. A lot of that's going to yield compensatory picks. We'll see how much the Broncos are able to sign Talanoa Hufanga for. I think that Deommodore Lenoir is the only draft pick left from the 2021 49ers draft class. Mike, why don't you confirm that? Can you send me all the 2021 draft picks? But I'm thinking Trey Lance is obviously gone for San Francisco. That was the highest pick in 2021. Ambry Thomas was in the 2021 draft class. He was the 3rd round pick for the 49ers. He's gone. Talanoa Hufanga, the 5th round pick, is gone. Elijah Mitchell, the 6th round pick, has signed with the Kansas City Chiefs. So he's gone. You're going to have to remind me of who the other draft picks in 2021 were, but I do believe that is it for the 49ers 2021 class. Aaron Banks, well, Banks is likely going to be gone, not technically gone yet. He was the 2nd round pick. Trey Sermon was the 3rd round pick. He is gone. Jalen Moore gone to the Chiefs. Elijah, they're all gone except for Deommodore Lenoir. Lance, Banks, Sermon, Thomas, Moore, Lenoir, Hufanga, and Elijah Mitchell. That was the 2021 draft class. It's going to be everybody in all likelihood, pending Aaron Banks, but everybody gone for the 49ers. That is wild. The Patriots are signing Spillane to $33 million deals. That's $11 million per year for the linebacker Robert Spillane. Just to give you guys some more context on Dre Greenlaw, he is now the top remaining linebacker on the open free agent market. You think that the 49ers are going to re-sign Banks? I don't think so. I think Banks is going to go for a whole heck of a lot of money elsewhere. I'd be absolutely shocked if the 49ers re-signed Aaron Banks. The 49ers have already re-signed Ben Barch, who was playing better than Aaron Banks last year. And, the rumor was that Banks was going to get 18 to 20 million. And the 49ers re-signed Barch for just over $1 million for this season. And if Barch played better for the 49ers last year, well, I think you have your answer there. Let me show you the state of the 49ers offensive line piece. I think this is a really good one when we talk about the potential of re-adding Aaron Banks. This is up on the San Francisco Standard. Look at these illustrations up on the San Francisco Standard. You've got the beautiful illustration. Brendel still the starting center. I think that, by the way, we saw Drew Dahlman earlier today sign with the Chicago Bears. Remember that the 49ers have Matt Hennessy on this roster, who was the predecessor of Drew Dahlman and the successor to Alex Mack in Atlanta. I think Alex Hennessy is going to get a chance to compete with Jake Brendel at the center position. But when we look at the rest of the offensive line, this is the performance from last season. And, maybe I could make this more pronounced up on the screen for everybody. Get this up here. If it's possible. Only if it's possible. I'm struggling right now. There we go. All right. So take a look at the very bottom of this screen. Blue is good. Red is bad. And you could see that Ben Barch played his ass off this last year. Now, I get it. Only 65 snaps for Ben Barch. It was a small sample size, but it was an obvious upgrade over Aaron Banks when he was in there. And Barch is interesting because, the 49ers got Barch at the discount that they probably hoped they could get Dre Greenlaw at, but Greenlaw had more of a reputation in this league. So Greenlaw is able to get away with 34 snaps last year and still have a robust market for his services. Barch doesn't have that kind of resume in the NFL, but he outperforms somebody like Aaron Banks. You can see Banks 43 in pass blocking, 63 in run blocking. Barch was 93 in pass blocking, 68 in run blocking. He outperformed somebody like Aaron Banks, but he's coming off of the dislocated knee that he suffered way back in the Jacksonville era. And that's a gruesome injury. When the 49ers poached Ben Barch off of Jacksonville's practice squad in 2023, he was still recovering, like getting up to full strength from that knee injury. So the stock, they got him at a low price. The stock was low for Ben Barch. He has since re-strengthened and he delivered what he did, but without a lot of fanfare over the 65 snaps for the 49ers this past season. And there's true belief that he can be a starter for San Francisco at like a 20th of the cost of some of these guards who are going for $20 million per year. All right, we got more movement on the offensive line market. The Titans are going to be signing Dan Moore, 4 years, $82 million. Oh my goodness! And Dan Moore, not that good of a tackle. This is just goes to show you how expensive buying offensive linemen on the free agency market is. Milton Williams, the really good Eagles defensive tackle, is a major factor in the Super Bowl. Multiple sacks, is headed to the Carolina Panthers. Derek Barnett, that's from Mike Silver. Derek Barnett is headed to the Texans. Derek Barnett, I'm in Nashville right now. Derek Barnett went to high school at Margot, Brentwood Academy, veteran defensive end. He is going to the Texans. D'Amico Ryans, 1-year deal, $5 million. That is from Ian Rappaport. But Dan Moore, the Titans are signing him. He is the former Steelers left tackle, 4 years, $82 million. Quick calculation tells me that's $20.5 million per year for Dan Moore. So $20.5 for Dan Moore, $15 million for Jalen Moore, the former 49er headed to Kansas City. Those are massive price tags for tackles who either aren't that good or are relatively unproven. And I think Jalen Moore can fall into the relatively unproven category. Dan Moore has had a chance to play for Pittsburgh before this big deal with the Tennessee Titans, but he hadn't been overwhelmingly good. Again, supply and demand. Offensive linemen are in extremely high demand because competent ones are in low supply. Let's get this up to 2,000. Send the link to your friends. And if you can't send the link to your friends, hit the like button right now. It helps the channel a lot. You know what else helps the channel? The subscribe button. We've got the biggest stream here. This is the biggest 49ers YouTube channel. It's by far the best one, too. We all know that, though. The fact that we've got 2,000 people watching this is, or close to 2,000. We're going to get there. I'm not resting until we get to 2,000, I think is unbelievable. So let's keep on growing the channel. Let's keep on growing the video. Let's get this up to 2,000 as this news comes in. But Dan Moore, I want to open up some of the tackle metrics from this past season, just to give you guys the exact rank and pass protection for Dan Moore. I mean, the fact that he's going for over $20 million with the Tennessee Titans is absolutely wild. So we go to pass blocking. Let's go to 50% of pass blocking snaps. I'm on PFF now to look at the pass blocking efficiency score of somebody like Dan Moore. It's not going to be all too high. I can guarantee you that. So here we go. Pass blocking efficiency for Moore. Is he not even on the... Oh my goodness. 50th out of 56 qualifying tackles, Dan Moore. 50th out of 56, and he commands $20.5 million per year. It's cheaper to get offensive linemen in the NFL draft. Now, the 49ers, the problem is that their tackle specifications are really stringent. They're lucky to have Trent Williams. They hope that he's going to stay healthy for the team this year. They're even lucky to have Colton McKivitz at the rate this is going. At over $20 million per year for a guy that is in the bottom 10th of tackles, that is wild. And the Tennessee Titans continue making moves that make me doubt that the Tennessee Titans are going to dig out of the hole that they find themselves in. Currently own the number 1 pick in the 2025 NFL draft. Bronson wants to see Joey Bosa with the 49ers. We continue to await potential Joey Bosa news. It's the Dolphins and the 49ers are the two teams reported to be talking to Joey Bosa. The Dolphins are the hometown team. He's from Fort Lauderdale. The 49ers are the team where his brother plays. So family connection in San Francisco. The 49ers, I think, could really benefit from Bosa when it comes to run defense. They've got Leonard Floyd already on this team, right? And Floyd is a good pass rusher, but he's lighter. They could really use a heavier edge rusher, less wiry strength, somebody like Joey Bosa, to give this team the edge-setting presence it needs against the run. I mean, that said, why don't we take a look at this? I know that I showed you guys my offensive line piece up on the San Francisco Standard. I think that the defensive line piece is a necessary add right now. By the way, the Nick Bosa art is awesome. That's from Clay Roddery. Did a great job. Scroll down here. There's a lot more red than there needs to be for the 49ers. They're really bad against the run last year. Run defense is on the right. Pass defense is on the left. The only player on San Francisco's defensive line last year that was a good run defender was Nick Bosa. So that is something that needs to be fixed. They have decided to move on from Malik Collins, 43 run defense percentile, not good for the 49ers. They have decided they really need to add another edge rusher who can defend against the run. When these are the grades for San Francisco against the run outside of Nick Bosa, that's where Joey can be really good for the 49ers. They need to add an edge-setting presence, and they need to add some defensive tackles who can actually play the run, as they ranked number 29 against the run last year. Wow, did X start working for me? I think it did. I think I might be able to fire off a tweet for the first time in a long time. X has been mostly down for me. We got another error on X. I don't think it's going to be up, guys. I think that the information that you're getting from me is going to be coming through this video on YouTube, which is just fine. It's all good. I was about to say Javon Kinlaw, 2 years for Javon Kinlaw with 17 games in each of those 2 years. A lot of people saying, how the hell did this happen? Well, it happened because he worked his ass off and stayed healthy for 2 seasons. The Patriots are signing Carlton Davis, who gets a 3-year, $60 million deal with $34.5 million guaranteed. So the cornerback, Carlton Davis, is moving from the Detroit Lions to the New England Patriots for a deal worth $20 million annually. So we've seen J.C. Horn sign today at the top of the market, $25 million annually. Carlton Davis is going to be around number 5 on the cornerback market with this signing to New England. Mike talking about how good of a deal Colton McKivitz is for the 49ers. Yes. I mean, given the tackle market, Colton McKivitz is the value bargain steal of the century for San Francisco. I mean, with McKivitz, they were able to move up to, you could see here in the 49ers offensive line breakdown. That's not a bad distribution for Colton McKivitz. It's decidedly mediocre, but he's making $6 million a year. And we've got guys who are worse than him, like Dan Moore, making $21 million a year. McKivitz is 56th percentile pass blocker, so he's above average there, a little bit below average in the run blocking. I mean, if we're talking about not overpaying at the tackle position, Colton McKivitz definitely falls into that. I'm ready for some of your questions. We have people talking about Joey Bosa. I'm going to wade into the comments section. I fear for my safety as they head into the comments section, but we're going to do it right now. Is Adam Peters better than John Lynch? Well, I think we should probably let this play out for a few years to see. Adam Peters has only been doing it for one season with Washington. He did a really good job in his first season. Adam is being really aggressive this offseason. And credit to him. Let's see how it goes. I like when a team goes for it. But he is using the cap space that Washington has to try to double down on the success that they had in 2024, and we will see how it blossoms for that Commanders team. That being said, it's hard to win in this league. It's hard to sustain in this league. I will give Peters a lot of credit for porting the 49ers culture to Washington. Culture had been a huge issue with Washington. The ownership change really helped, and Adam Peters wasn't going to go there unless there was an ownership change. The ownership change is huge for Washington. No more Dan Snyder. That cleared the way for this new group of executives to markedly change the culture very quickly. That's the first thing that Adam Peters did. They brought in Jaden Daniels, awesome rookie quarterback. Now they've got to build the rest of the team, though. Deebo Samuel comes over from the 49ers. Javon Kinlaw from the 49ers via the Jets to Washington. So I'm excited for Adam Peters. I can't wait to see what Washington does next. I think it would be awesome if Washington and the 49ers created a rivalry at the top of the NFC. Harken back to 1983, where Washington beat the 49ers in the NFC Championship game. Really suspect calls against Ronnie Lott down the stretch of that game. The 49ers came back and unfortunately weren't able to finish a comeback. And that's a game that has still left a bitter taste in their mouths. So that was the last great 49ers Washington game, right? I mean, you go back to that NFC Championship game. I don't think they've played in the playoffs since then, because Washington had some really good teams throughout the 80s and then the early 90s. Obviously, 1991 was an awesome team for them, but that's the year the 49ers didn't make the playoffs over the course of their dynastic run. So I'd love to see the 49ers in Washington and Adam Peters and John Lynch get into a nice rivalry, but I don't think that we can answer questions like this definitively just 1 year into Adam Peters' GM career. A lot of people wondering if the 49ers are going to re-sign Dre Greenlaw. Here the team's interested. No word yet on Dre Greenlaw. So we will sit and we will wait. We're kicking back. We're waiting for Dre Greenlaw. We're waiting for the rest of the 49ers pending free agents. We don't really expect them to re-sign. This might be the first year they don't re-sign anybody of note in pending free agency. In the past, they have. We expected this year to be more turnover than ever before for the 49ers. I mean, just take a look at the roster. Take a look at where San Francisco is right now. I'm going to be highlighting the players that they do add to this roster probably in teal, because they have added a couple outside free agents. Isaiah Hodgins at that receiver position, Jalen McKenzie, grandson of Reggie McKenzie, former Raiders GM, at tackle. But remember that only players on the left side of the dividing line do I project to make the 53-man roster for San Francisco. So I don't have any 53-man roster projections for the 49ers signed yet, as we wait for them to make their first move in this 2024 or 25 cycle. Positions where they need to add a backup quarterback. I think they need to add a running back here. Sorry, Elijah Mitchell can be off. He's to the Kansas City Chiefs. That answers our question. We were wondering if his contract would toll. I think the 49ers just let it expire with Elijah Mitchell. So Israel Bonaconda is still on the team. They acquired him last year with 2 years of team control remaining, waiver pickup from the Jets. But until he proves something, I can't project him to the 53-man roster. There's Garendo at the running back position. They need to add here. They will need to add a receiver. We'll see if I've predicted mid-tier receiver. I predicted, Keenan Allen could work for the 49ers. Darius Slayton could work with the 49ers. Expect them to sign a veteran at the receiver spot at some point. Obviously, tight end is a position of desire for the 49ers. They've always wanted to add that number 2 to George Kittle. Maybe they finally draft somebody this year that does pan out in that way. Offensive line, they've got 8 53-man qualifiers in the building already, but I would still expect them to bring in more. If they can, through the NFL draft, we've talked about Armand Membu with pick number 11, if he lasts that far. Defensive line, they've got a big gaping hole at defensive tackle that they need to address. Linebacker, they need more depth, and I think there's a hole at that number 2 linebacker spot. Right now I have D. Winters in it, but we're going to be waiting for Dre Greenlaw, who's drawing interest from the Falcons, Texans, and Broncos on top of the 49ers. Cornerback, they just added Trey Tomlinson the other day. That was a waiver pickup for San Francisco. Maybe, I mean, he's a new player, so you could highlight Trey Tomlinson and teal. He actually is the first teal shaded player that I project to make the 53. Cornerback was with the Rams. He's only 5'8", but he's got that dog in him. Actually played outside cornerback for the Rams this past season. And I think they also have to add at safety. I mean, there's a lot to add if you're the 49ers. They are definitely in a spot where plenty of roster holes for San Francisco, but also a lot of draft picks coming up. And, I think we expected them to be more active in the second wave of free agency than in the first, although I would be surprised if they didn't spend any money today. Just the way that things normally flow, you typically hear from the 49ers on the first day of free agency. With that being said, it's not as good of a free agency class as it normally is, just in general, and the 49ers obviously have been broadcasting different types of team building habits during their strategic shift this offseason. Miguel says the Niners need a veteran wide receiver. I believe that's what I just said. I agree with you. We're going to look to see what happened so far today as we're waiting for our next news. We began today with the Dre Greenlaw update. We were talking about Josh Allen yesterday and the wild wide receiver market. That was nuts yesterday. Davante Adams and then DK Metcalf moving teams. This morning, Grady Jarrett released by Atlanta. They didn't want to pay him, just like Washington didn't want to pay the $16 million for Jonathan Allen. Charvarius Ward might be heading to the Giants, but we're still waiting and seeing because the Giants are picking up Paulson Adebo. Jonathan Allen interested in joining the Vikings. That's a player that the 49ers have already expressed interest in during the Deebo Samuel trade. Jalen Moore to the Chiefs, $15 million a year for the former 49ers offensive lineman. Drew Dahlman to the Bears. Mitchell and Moore to the Chiefs. So 2 49ers will be with Kansas City. Javon Kinlaw, $15 million annually to Washington. The 49ers playing that comp pick game for sure. That's something that we predicted. Aaron Rodgers, sounds like he's probably heading to Pittsburgh, although we don't have any further developments on that front. Jimmy Garoppolo and Davante Adams reunited in LA because Jimmy has re-signed with the Rams the day after Davante Adams signs with LA on a deal worth $23 million annually. Meanwhile, Talanoa Hufanga is headed to Denver, where he's going to be teammates with DJ Jones again. Or likely headed to Denver. We're not going to say that's a certain thing yet, but DJ Jones, the former 49ers defensive tackle, had been scheduled to be a free agent, re-signed with Denver last night for $13 million per year. That was $13 million per year. So $10 million was his contract for the previous 3 years with the Broncos, a raise up to $13 million for DJ Jones. Mike says that Twitter is back up. Is that the case? Because I've had a couple false alarms with Twitter so far. It's loading. It's loading. X has been down. Let me say this about Javon Kinlaw. I got to get the Kinlaw thoughts out. Let me say this. He's played in 34 of 34 possible regular season games. Well, actually, he also played for the 49ers in the postseason last year. So let's include his postseason games. They played 3 in the postseason, right? So he's played in 37 of 37 possible games over the past 2 years. He's successfully defeated the "he won't last on those knees" narrative. Kinlaw's perseverance I got to spell that right, deserves a lot of credit. He earned that money. All right, it's up. Wow, our first tweet since the internet got fixed, or since X got fixed. I'm going to put this up on the screen for posterity. I'm happy that finally worked out. I was getting worried that I was never going to be able to log on again. More of you still follow me on X than here. But X was the OG spot. Twitter, if you will. Here it is. I got it up. That's proof that it's up there. Now, hopefully there are no spelling errors. X has been down, now back up. Kinlaw's played in 37 of 37 possible games over the past 2 years. He successfully defeated the "he won't last on those knees" narrative. Kinlaw's perseverance deserves a lot of credit. He earned that money. Boom. Javon Kinlaw. While the Broncos are closing in on Talanoa Hufanga. Let's get that original text title up on the screen. That was yesterday's. I want today's. The best time of the year, NFL free agency begins. Maybe it could open up TweetDeck and I can actually follow along in real time now. Mike has been doing a great job. Why don't we give Mike a round of applause for all that he's been doing? Feeding me while X has been down. I think it's back up and I'm doing great. Twitter is working. I'm sure a lot of people are complaining because of the X upheaval, as Jeremy Fowler says. Jeremy Fowler had some trouble as well. I haven't sipped my coffee here in a while. Got to fuel up as we go through this big day. All right, so everything is scrolling now. That's great. I've been talking for an hour and 27 minutes straight. This might be a record for me. Mike tweets or texts me saying 49ers going after second or third wave players anyway. I think so. I think that is very likely for the 49ers. I think I said that entering this show. The 49ers and the comp pick game is going to factor in really big this year. You're going for cost efficiency if you are San Francisco. And you're not going to get cost efficiency in a lot of this first wave of free agency. Not when Jalen Moore is going for $15 million a year. Guys like Javon Kinlaw going for $15 million a year. Guys have earned their money. This is a gladiatorial sport, but the 49ers are treating this ruthlessly this year. They are trying to make sure that they clear the money that they need to clear for somebody named Brock Purdy and the big contract that is going to be coming their quarterback's way. They already parted ways, or they plan to part ways. Depends on if they can get a trade done with Malik Collins. $10 million saved there. 49ers saved $40 million with the Javon Hargrave departure. That's going to be official on Wednesday when the new league year starts. Cap space carries over from season to season. So $18 million saved by Eric Armstead's release last year. That's $68 million saved just through the defensive tackle position for the 49ers. They're stripping parts of this roster down to the studs. You know why? Because the defense was terrible last year for the 49ers, so they shouldn't want to run it back with the same crew. They've got a new coordinator also an old coordinator, and Robert Saleh. And how the 49ers rebuild this will probably be evocative of how the Rams have been building their defense with youth. The Rams are the lowest cash spend on the defensive side of the football this past year. And the defense blossomed into a nice unit by the end of it. The Philadelphia Eagles cut down significantly on cash spend. They ended up winning the Super Bowl with overpowering defense. Youth, speed, hunger. That wins in the modern NFL. And the 49ers, when they saw their run defense sink down to number 29 over the course of the last year, they said, okay, well, we need to make sure we bring in some youth, we bring in some speed, we bring in some hunger, and leadership remains important. That's why if they can sign Joey Bosa at the right price, they'll be happy to have Joey Bosa, especially because he's a good run defender. But in general, the 49ers are going to be building this team through the NFL draft. 49ers are looking to refresh this roster. You know, calling it a rebuild, that's fine, but a rebuild carries a certain stigma that means that a team is going to be bad. When you see what the Bills have done, when you see what the Eagles have done, when you see what the Rams have done, all those teams have technically rebuilt. But I think that a better way to describe what they've done is that they've refreshed. I think the 49ers are looking for that refresh here in the 2025 season. I'm going to wade in, answer a couple questions. Over 1,800. A lot of people online. I love this. Oh, Kyle and John have not been completely stripped of responsibilities. Guys, even those of you who look at Mike Silver's article and think that it somehow brought us all this revelatory new information, which it didn't. I mean, this is all stuff we've been talking about for a while. People are taking Mike's words so far out of context and ascribing their own meaning to it. Like, it doesn't even say power one time in that article. It doesn't say power shift. It doesn't say philosophical shift in the article. He didn't use those words at all in the piece. We're talking about a strategic shift for the 49ers, a natural strategic shift, which other teams in the league have also made, especially teams that have been close to the 49ers boat as far as a lot of cash spend over the course of the past few years, and also as far as switching over to a quarterback on a more expensive deal. So the strategic shift is happening. This is not some kind of big shakeup at the top of the 49ers power structure. That is called reading too far into it. That's called looking for clicks. We got more people watching this show by a lot than any other 49ers show, and we don't go for clicks. Every other channel goes for clicks. They go for sensationalist headlines. They see a fake headline with Brock Purdy being offered for $45 million a year, and they make a headline about it, and they go, "Oh, reportedly this happened." We're the only channel that called it out and said that it was fake, and then it came out that it was fake, right? We don't have to go to sensationalist lengths to get viewers here. I think people need to operate with that in mind. We don't have to say, oh my God, this is going to be a power struggle at the top of the 49ers organization, when it was just an obvious strategic shift that we've already been reporting on for about a year. That's what's actually happening. I made an entire video from the university the other day. We had a cool background. Should check it out. The video was about the shift, and what's really important for the 49ers is that they're all pulling in the same direction at the top of the organizational power structure. So you got to make sure that Lynch, you got to make sure that Shanahan, Parag Marathe, and of course Jed York are all aligned with the same vision. And I think John Lynch is going to be really important in that effort, because teams go through tumultuous times. Teams go through losing seasons. Teams go through shakeups at the top as far as strategy goes. But as long as they keep their eye on the prize, as long as the rudder has them steered in the correct direction, they'll be fine. And it's John Lynch's job as the president of football operations, as somebody who's respected as a former Hall of Fame player, as Captain America himself, it's his job to make sure that the 49ers are steered in that unified direction. And if that's the case, they'll handle this strategic shift just fine. Frank says big media are overstating every signing. It's getting nauseous. Well, that's why you guys are here. That's why more people are watching this one. I mean, signings are signings, and almost all of these have been overpays that I've seen so far today. Massive overpays. We've been talking about value for days. I haven't seen really good value on the free agent market so far today. Drew Dahlman might be the best value that I've seen, but he's still the second highest paid center in all of football. Drew Dahlman, I've said, may have cracked the top 5 of centers with his play, although he missed half the season last year, but he's being paid as the number 2 center. So, I mean, if he delivers as the number 2 center, it's not an overpay, but on paper right now, it's a slight overpay for Drew Dahlman. You're rarely going to get a good bargain rate in free agency. That's why you have to carefully pick and choose the signings that you do make. We've got more news coming through. The Texans are signing defensive back Tremon Smith to a 2-year deal worth up to $7.5 million. He's a former Bronco, more of a special teams player. The Patriots have agreed to terms with Morgan Moses, former Jets offensive lineman, 3 years, $24 million, worth up to $28.5 million. So that's actually a more decent deal for an offensive lineman. I mean, you know, Morgan Moses, too, was a decent pass blocker. Number 9 in pass blocking efficiency this past season. Now, age-wise, Morgan Moses is an older player. That's probably why he's 34 years old. That's why the Patriots were able to get him. But a veteran who delivered, again, number 9, Dan Moore, for comparison, made $20 million, and he is number 50 out of 56 players. Morgan Moses is 9 out of 56 in 2024 pass blocking efficiency, and he goes to $8 million. So you pay for youth in this league. And the Patriots obviously got a discount there, signing 34-year-old Morgan Moses, the tackle who was in the top 10 last year in pass blocking efficiency. So far, Elijah Mitchell and Jalen Moore have both headed to the Kansas City Chiefs. No signings yet at this very moment for the 49ers. We've been going for an hour and 37 minutes. I think I don't have a co-host right now. I'm bringing you the news unfiltered, bringing you the analysis unfiltered. I would really appreciate a like. Really appreciate a subscribe. My coffee's getting cold because I've been talking so much over the last hour and a half. Now people are talking about the NFL draft. I think it's a little bit early. We're still on the first day of the legal tampering window. Mario, where's Kinlaw going? The Washington Commanders. $15 million per year. Congratulations to Javon Kinlaw. There's a report that Javon Holland, the safety for the Miami Dolphins, who's going to be an unrestricted free agent, his market is expected to exceed $15 million per year. I'm fascinated to see what Talanoa Hufanga is going to go for. Because if Holland is going for over 15, I know Hufanga's had those injury issues, but that is an all-pro pedigree for Talanoa Hufanga. And that means that he could command some real money. I mean, I have him at a $5 million cap hit on the build your own roster, but it could be much more than that for Talanoa. He's talking with the Denver Broncos right now. Finally, a chance for me to drink a little bit of coffee. Nothing out on potential numbers for Talanoa Hufanga at this point. Now, remember, this is something earlier today. We had Drew Dahlman heading to the Chicago Bears. When I look at how the 49ers might set up their competition along the offensive line, I have to remind you guys that they picked up this guy last year, late in the year, poached him off of Atlanta's practice squad, Matt Hennessy. So obviously no Dahlman to the 49ers. We'll wait to see on Ryan Kelly, an older center, one of the top centers on the market alongside Dahlman this year. But Hennessy, under the radar, still had a year left on his deal that the 49ers have him for in 2025. So he might compete with Jake Brendel for that starting center position in San Francisco. Why don't we talk a little bit on Brock Purdy? We're going to make this a Brock Purdy update. His sister got married over the weekend. Congratulations. Purdy family was at the wedding this weekend. So big weekend for the Purdy family. But on top of the all this contract discussion that we've been having and fake reports, right? And everybody embarrassingly, I mean, shame on everybody, all the aggregators, all the YouTube channels that took the $45 million report, which wasn't even a report. It was so easy. The kindergartner could have told that wasn't a report online. Shame on all the channels that took that and ran with it. They lost a lot of credibility this week doing that. But on top of all the noise that we've been seeing in the Brock Purdy contract discussions, we saw Josh Allen sign yesterday for $250 million in total guarantees. And my main point yesterday was that Josh Allen's deal helps everybody, including Brock Purdy, because what it has done, it has restored sanity to the QB market when it comes to new deals. Allen signed for $55 million APY, average per year. The APY discussion had turned into this runaway freight train where every single deal was one-upping the previous one with almost no regard to the quality of the quarterback signing the deal. For example, Joe Burrow had been the top at $55 million per year along with Trevor Lawrence. And Joe Burrow was obviously the best quarterback at $55 million. And Jordan Love was also $55 million, but he definitely not the best quarterback, right? When Dak Prescott signed his contract at $60 million to usurp Joe Burrow, nobody would tell you that Dak Prescott is a better QB than Joe Burrow, yet he still made more money. So that's the runaway freight train. And that's why, everybody's talking about Brock Purdy and this money just exploding through 60 million. And then another guy coming in making 65. It lost a lot of meaning. I mean, APY never really was all that substantive because of the funny money, but it was just one contract bigger than the other in terms of APY. So people could go out and puff their chests out and talk about how big a meaningless average per year number was. And agents used it to promote themselves. Players used it to promote themselves. And it just became exhausting. The fact that Josh Allen, the league MVP, was okay with signing a deal that wasn't at the very top of the market in terms of APY, average per year, restored some gravitational sanity to the quarterback market. I've said all along that guarantees matter a whole lot more than the APY. The strength of the deal is going to be much more reflected by not only total guaranteed money, but especially by fully guaranteed money, which is also guaranteed for skill. And the fact that Josh Allen prioritized that, he's now at the top of the list with $250 million in total guaranteed money. He prioritized that over the APY where he's at $55 million, I think is a big, big sign of relief for everybody who likes to follow these things closely. And obviously, Brock Purdy's camp has to follow these things closely. The 49ers are following this closely as they're negotiating this deal. The pressure is now taken off of the APY race. We can actually focus on what substantively matters. If the MVP himself is at 55, sure, the 49ers can go out and give Brock Purdy $61 million per year. But this underscores that doesn't matter all that much when it comes to the substance of the deal. What's actually going to matter are the guarantees. Where is he going to fall in the total guaranteed spectrum? Where is he going to fall in the fully guaranteed spectrum? Josh Allen signing the deal that he did gives us much better reason to focus on the variables of this contract that are actually relevant when it comes to determining whether or not it's a good contract. So I really enjoyed that. All right, we've got DJ Reed. Oh boy. DJ Reed, 49ers fans aren't going to like this one. Guess where DJ Reed is going? The former 49ers cornerback, a version of Deommodore Lenoir, if you will. DJ Reed is going to the Detroit Lions. 3 years, $48 million, $32 million, fully guaranteed for DJ Reed. So that is $16 million per year. I think that's exactly where the roster builder had DJ Reed predicted to go. Versatile corner, played for Robert Saleh with the New York Jets after his tenure with the 49ers. He is headed to the Detroit Lions, who had a bad defense this past year. Lions trying to take that defense to another level. They're going to have to replace a lot offensively. They're replacing their coaches, too. Big brain drain in Detroit. Aaron Glenn, the coordinator, is gone on the defensive side. Ben Johnson, the OC, is also gone. Now they have DJ Reed, the veteran cornerback out of Bakersfield. He is headed to Detroit. $16 million APY for DJ Reed. Meanwhile, former Eagles cornerback Isaiah Rodgers, 2 years, $15 million. With the Vikings, $8 million fully guaranteed. That is a smaller deal. Isaiah Rodgers to Minnesota, but DJ Reed and DJ Jones, the dream of one of the DJs or both of the DJs heading back to the 49ers is dead. Both DJs have signed elsewhere. DJ Jones re-signs with the Broncos. DJ Reed heads to the Detroit Lions. There it is. 49ers fans, a lot of them will not be happy. But again, none of this stuff was realistic. If you've been paying attention, second wave stuff was going to be more likely for the 49ers because the first wave isn't even that impressive in this free agency market. You know, Reed at $16 million. Let's go through the rankings here of salary for some of these players who have signed. Go to cornerbacks on Over the Cap. Jalen Ramsey was number one entering today, but we saw J.C. Horn surpass him at $25 million per year. DJ Reed at $16 million per year is making a little bit less than Deommodore Lenoir. Lenoir is at $18 million per year, DJ Reed at $16, but it's a lot less in terms of the larger deal because DJ is an older player. It's only a 3-year deal for DJ Reed, and he's 28. Lenoir obviously is how old? 25 or 26. Demo is significantly younger, though. Those are an important 2 or 3 years in NFL terms. 25 years old for Deommodore Lenoir. APY $2 million lower for DJ Reed. He heads to Detroit. The parallels between DJ Reed and Deommodore Lenoir, though, have always been fascinating to me. The 49ers drafted DJ in the 5th round of the 2018 draft. They had him play outside and inside. They loved the versatility. He's not the tallest cornerback, but they thought that he was capable of playing both of those positions. Was a huge part of making the defense more adaptable in those early years. Obviously, he left to the Seahawks when they poached him following the injury waiver in 2020. 49ers regretted that move. Then he signed with the New York Jets. They don't get him back. He now signs with the Detroit Lions. But a year after DJ Reed left in 2025, the 49ers used another 5th-round draft pick. This one for Deommodore Lenoir, a player who developed into an inside-outside force and is actually working on a bigger contract than DJ Reed has ever signed. So Lenoir, you can, I think, correctly say this is DJ Reed 2.0 for the 49ers. And while we're at it, what a deal the 49ers did get for Deommodore Lenoir. It ranks number 13 of all cornerbacks. So the 49ers acting proactively with Deommodore Lenoir really helped their cause. He's right underneath Jalen Johnson at $19 million per year. Demo's at $18 million per year. Above him, you've got Jalen Johnson, L'Jarius Sneed, Tyson Campbell, Trayvon Diggs, Marshawn Lattimore, Marlon Humphrey, Carlton Davis, who just signed a new deal, Denzel Ward, A.J. Terrell, Jair Alexander, Pat Surtain II, and Jalen Ramsey, and then J.C. Horn, who signed the new contract with the Carolina Panthers. So Lenoir should have been a Pro Bowler last year. His statistics were actually better than all the other NFC Pro Bowlers. And he is currently the 13th highest paid cornerback in the NFL, which shows you the 49ers got value with Deommodore Lenoir's deal by getting that one out of the way early. Demo was game to let that happen early. It takes 2 to tango, obviously, but Demo was game. 49ers were game. Perhaps that's going to change the 49ers negotiating strategy moving forward. The Eagles get guys done early. The 49ers have gotten guys done historically late. And that's led to a lot of contract drama when the 49ers don't want it. So I think it's just worth mentioning that the 49ers were able to lock down Deommodore Lenoir earlier on. The Lions obviously have lost Carlton Davis. They replace him with DJ Reed. Davis, 3 years, $60 million in New England. DJ Reed, 3 years, $48 million from Detroit. So $20 million per year for Carlton Davis, who leaves the Lions, and $16 million per year for DJ Reed, who joins the Lions. We've got some separation stats of NFL cornerbacks. So this is going to be good. This is going to be really good. I'm going to open this one up. We can take a look at a nice little graph, and we could see where all these corners rank. I love this kind of stuff. I absolutely love this kind of stuff. Let's get this up on the screen. Look at the cornerback position. Here we go. Since we're talking corners right now, we can see, and I could zoom in on different spots of this. So you want to be further to the right and further up. Look at where DJ Reed was, upper right cornerback. Really good corner, DJ Reed. The Jets had good corners. Sauce Gardner, DJ Reed. Renardo Green, he's up there. Where's Demo? Looking for Demo. Yadam's down here. I'm guessing Lenore might be one of it might be this logo. Is he in the upper right, Mike? Is that Lenore? Yeah, I can't tell because this dot is unaccounted for. So I'm guessing that's Lenore on the upper right. Because Renardo Green is here, Lenore there, Charvarius Ward here. Yeah, that must be Lenore. So Lenore, good corner, good grade. He's in the quadrant where you want to be. Carlton Davis and DJ Reed in about the same spot. So the Lions looks like they got a similar type of cornerback for a discounted $4 million per year. Davis goes to New England for 20. DJ Reed right here, $16 million to replace him in Detroit. Everybody hit that like button. We're still trying to get to 2,000. We've gotten to 1,900 at one point. I'm trying to outlast the 2,000 threshold here. That would be awesome. Be really, really cool stuff if we can do that. So tell your friends, hit the like button, hit comment right now. You would help us get to 2,000. Maybe if we get to 2,000, the 49ers will finally sign somebody. Maybe you can help the 49ers sign somebody by hitting like, by pushing this out. I just have this little goal. I want to get this to 2,000. I've seen it get so close and it hadn't quite gotten there. It's turning into a endurance show at this point, me talking for an hour and 52 minutes. Do I think the 49ers still compete with all the budget cuts? Yes. I think that the way to compete in the NFL is to build through the draft and to build efficiently. The way to not compete is to constantly try to be buying players. Those teams never succeed in the NFL. Another question here. Temporary defensive line replacement could be Calais Campbell and DeMarcus Lawrence. What do I think? I would say just watch how many older players you're signing. I think a few is fine. But if you're the 49ers, you need to find the right mix between veteran leadership and a fast, young, cost-controlled team. Thank you. The more super chats we get, the more likely I am to continue talking past the 2-hour mark. Have teams shown interest in trading for Purdy? I have no clue. That's not something the 49ers are interested in. I don't know why you would trade away the most efficient quarterback in football ever since he has joined the league. Once you find a good quarterback in his league, you keep him. You trade him away if he's like Geno Smith, but Brock Purdy is obviously a lot better than Geno Smith. Yes, let's hit 2,000. I mean, I've got skin in the game at this point. Let's hit 2,000. Let's get this rolling. We are 180 away. I mean, we crept up over 1,900 and then it dipped back down. And, you know, we're at a spot right now where this has turned into a marathon. We started this an hour and 49 minutes ago. And we are, it's been an hour 54 minutes ago, but we started this 5 minutes before the start of the new league year or the legal tampering window. Joe is saying this is a boring free agency for the 49ers so far. We knew that this wasn't a good free agency class, but Michael said X back up is detrimental to the 2,000 goal. Yeah, but we could do it anyway. This channel's a powerhouse. This channel is a true power. I believe in it. Mike says that we need to do did he just say a 24-hour live stream? Well, Lombardi yourself will have to help for that one. We'll have to have multiple people to help. I'm not doing 24 hours straight without help. We'll say that. Maybe, I say that this might end up going for 24 hours, but it will. The only chance it will go for 24 hours is if we hit 2K soon. We need to hit 2K soon. Michael Rader says, sign Keenan Allen and Bosa now. Why wait? Well, because these guys can't be forced to sign anyway. They literally have to sign too. Like, a contract is a two-way street. So players can wait it out. Players can negotiate. Players can think that a better opportunity is coming at some point in the future. The 49ers are only one part of the two-person equation that it requires for a contract to be done. Yeah, people here for the 24-hour stream. Good luck. I might be a machine, but I'm not that much of a machine. He's more machine than man now. He streams for 24 hours straight. If you want me to turn off ads when live, then give me a big super chat and maybe I'll think about it. I've got to put food on the table for my family as well. What a rude comment. You can also pay like $10 and have YouTube Premium, and then you won't see ads. But I'm not doing this as a charity, guys. This is my job. And I think I do a really good job at it. So stop going with insulting comments. Stop messing with other people's money, especially when they've been talking for an hour and 56 minutes, giving you the best 49ers insight without a break. Give me a break. Jeez. Yeah, if I get to 20, I don't want 2,000 likes. I want 2,000 viewers. Lee says that Dahlman was about it for the first wave. Yeah, Dahlman might have been the only top 5 players so far to sign. Right? I don't think there are that many top 5 players at their respective positions, and Dahlman is an arguable one. I don't think there are that many top 5 players available in this free agency. That's why they've called it a rather mediocre free agent class. And just yesterday, we had a rush of players re-sign with their former teams. We're less than 100 away. Let's break out the bourbon and do the 24-hour chat. What do I think the 49ers pivot after the signing of Drew Dahlman? Matt Hennessy and Jake Brendel are going to compete for that center position. I'll keep an eye on Ryan Kelly. Maybe Kyle Shanahan really loves Ryan Kelly. But as I've been saying, they like Brendel much more than a lot of people on social media. And I realize there's been a regression from Jake Brendel. That's something I talked about a lot. I personally have advocated, I've said that the 49ers, if they invest more in the center position, they can get more return from the rest of the offensive line. I think it's that important in Kyle Shanahan's system. I've talked to Drew Dahlman and Chris Dahlman about this very phenomenon. Like, this is something that has been discussed over the years. Like, this goes back to 2021. Drew was coming out of Stanford, so I call him up and I call Chris Dahlman up, and we talked about, this goes all the way back to the 49ers in the 1999. This goes all the way back to the 49ers, 98, 99 with Chris Dahlman playing center for Steve Young, and the Bob McKittrick offense with more mobile offensive linemen. And the fact that when Bart Oates came over to play center for the 49ers in 1994, Steve Young's friend from BYU, Bart Oates actually took over the play calling or protection responsibilities along the offensive line. Like, he was the one that was calling out the protections, and he took a lot off the quarterback's plate. Chris Dahlman did the same thing for the 49ers. And then Dahlman has this history where he coached in Atlanta under Alex Gibbs, who was the architect of the outside zone in Denver for Mike Shanahan. And I thought there was a big convergence in 2021 for Dahlman to come to the 49ers as a draft pick, just because of all this illustrious history with his dad and with the way that these offenses run the scheme through the center. Obviously, it didn't happen. We've seen the 49ers show interest in Western Richburg. He signed a huge contract back in 2018. We've seen Alex Mack join the 49ers. Unfortunately, though, for aficionados of the center position, Drew Dahlman not in the cards for the 49ers this year. But since I've studied this, I've talked to Bart Oates, I've talked to Steve Young, I've talked to Chris Dahlman, I've talked to Drew Dahlman, I've talked to Kyle Shanahan. I've been a firm believer on a year-in, year-out basis that center is the one best value position to raise the level of play in this offensive line, because the center is identifying the safety rotations. The center is setting the protections for the 49ers. The center is executing really difficult reach blocks in the outside zone. The center is a rising tide that can lift all boats. That's my stance on it. I've given that stance for years. I doubt it that the 49ers would go after Drew Dahlman at the price that he would likely command. But, in the back of my head, I thought this could be a really, really good fit for San Francisco. But he goes to the Bears instead. Meanwhile, another one of the 49ers offensive linemen, Jalen Moore, moves over to the Kansas City Chiefs, along with Elijah Mitchell. Well, guys, we are 29 people away. I'm just looking at the counter over here. We've crossed 2 hours. We're 29 people away. We're getting so close. I could recap what's happened so far. Drew Dahlman to the Bears, 49ers and Dre Greenlaw. This is the big one right now. It's a Royal Rumble between Robert Saleh, Jeff Ulbrich, D'Amico Ryans, and Vance Joseph. 17 away. We're at 1,983. So the drama with Dre Greenlaw is real. Meanwhile, his former teammate, Javon Kinlaw, is headed to Washington as the 49ers play the comp pick game. Comp pick game might be helped by the fact that Jalen Moore has signed for $15 million annually. Oh, no, we just dipped down. We are 67 away now. This is torture. Send this to your friends. Send this to everybody that you know. Just take the link and send it to them on text message. I need to get to 2,000. I'm not going to leave failing here. We're over 2 hours. Maybe I need to put this on Twitter. I'll cheat. I'll put this on Twitter /X/ whatever you want to call it to get over 2,000 if I have to. Aaron Rodgers likely to head to Pittsburgh. We're still waiting for that one. Broncos, Talanoa Hufanga, Jimmy Garoppolo, and Devontae Adams are reunited. Mike, why don't you put a poll in there? Should I cheat on this? Oh, hey, look, we got a bunch of super chats. That's cool. That can hold me over. I'm keeping it real. Thank you. Thanks, man. We'll talk about draft prospects to replace Dre Greenlaw if the 49ers don't actually re-sign Dre Greenlaw. How about that? I don't want to open up a whole new discussion right now, but thank you. RG says, I'm grateful that the Niners gave it their best shot. They made it to the big dance and couldn't seal the deal. Ownership needs to stop the bleeding. It's all business. Again, the best way to sustainably win over the long term in the NFL is through cost efficiency. There's no, we hit 2,000. Yes, 2,033. We have done it. You guys have pushed me over the top. Oh, look, we got somebody watching on 2 devices. Over 2K. That is the most exciting part of this morning. We have done it. Over 2,000. Thank you all, because I couldn't have done it myself. You guys had to click on there. I know Mike and I are going to be popping some champagne right now, or we can pop some coffee right now. The 49ers have not even signed anybody yet, and we are over 2,000 on the live stream. A lot of super chat. Yeah, I'm letting the haters hate. I have the most real subscribers of any 49ers channel. That's cool. Of any 49ers reporter. We do the most views of any 49ers channel by far. And people can say what they want, but all of that is true. All that's going to continue being true. And we just hit 2,000. So that's all that I really care about. And I appreciate all the love coming through. Thank you, guys. Hello from Brazil. This is a cool one. If I take a shot on what move the Niners will do today, what would that be? Jalen Moore, starter in Kansas City? Yes, Jalen Moore, starter in Kansas City, and that can help the 49ers out in terms of the compensatory pick formula. If he starts in Kansas City and plays a whole bunch of snaps, that'll help secure a 4th-round compensatory pick for the 49ers. Appreciate everybody. All these super chats rolling in. Thank you, guys. We got over 2,000, and it might dip under 2,000 because I'm being obnoxious right now, but I don't care because I hit 2,000 on the live stream doing it all by myself for 2 hours. It's not all by myself. We got to thank Mike. Mike has been huge. Mike, do you want to join in? Want to join in really quickly? I think it's a good time for Mike to say hello while we're live here. If you can, Mike. If you can't, don't worry about it. I know you might have other stuff to do at work. Just let me know if you can't, Mike. Mike he texted me, just share the link on X. I wanted to do it without sharing the link on X. I wanted to show that this was a true display of endurance. Mike cannot join right now, unfortunately. You guys will have to wait for the next show. It'll be good. Mike might be able to join tonight, so you guys should hit the subscribe button while you're here, and Mike can join tonight. I am so happy that we hit 2K, though. Really, really good stuff. Justin goes, here is a good topic. BA or TO? Who's a bigger diva versus production? Ayuk or Owens? I mean, TO's the second best receiver of all time, right? I mean, it's the statistics are insane for Terrell Owens. So let's not be disrespectful to TO. Brandon Ayuk has had one substantially good season, 2023. TO still clears Brandon Ayuk by a lot. Appreciate you, Dan. Thank you. Thanks to all the super chats. They're very appreciated. I feel some of the love after the 2-hour marathon here to open the legal tampering window. Remember that we started this entire show with the clock, with this right here. It was before 9 a.m. Pacific time when we started the show. It is after 9 a.m. Pacific time. The 49ers have still not made a move. Jimmy Garoppolo and Devontae Adams have been reunited in L.A. We've gone through everything. And I think it's time for me to take a little bit of a break. I'm going to go catch up. I'm going to make some tweets now. So we've outlasted shows with multiple people on them. We've done all that here over the course of the past 2 hours. That has opened up the NFL free agency window. Why don't you guys go let me fire off some tweets. Go follow on there. Hit the subscribe button here. Thanks for all the love. This normally is the best time of the year when the NFL free agency period begins. This time, though, nothing's happened yet for the 49ers. But as soon as something does happen, you could expect the content to roll right in. We'll talk to you soon. Thanks again. We hit 2K. Triumphant morning. Talk soon.